So this is the story of old monks don't lie. It's a long time ago. There was a wandering monk who would just wander from place to place with hardly any possessions, just living a very simple lifestyle. And he came to a small farmhouse where there was a couple with a couple of kids and a dog. And for the alms round, if ever you come to our monastery, you see we rely upon alms food. And so the person was a good Buddhist and he gave some alms food to the monk. And afterwards he said, soon the monsoon season will be coming, when it rains. And during the rains retreat, that 3 months, we don't go anywhere, we've got to stay put. And he said, during that 3 months, have you got a place to stay yet? And the monk said, no. And the farmer said, please stay with us. I can build you a beautiful small hut close by the river, and we can feed you every day. It doesn't cost much to look after a monk. As I was telling people in Nonamara the other day, when the first monks went to UK, there was a man there, he was an economist, he was actually an advisor to the Bank of England, and they were wondering how many monks could we look after, how much does it cost to look after a monk? And they found out, he did all the calculations, and it's cheaper, it's actually less expensive to look after a monk than to look after a dog. And there's many sort of similarities. We both live in little huts in the back garden, and we both eat out of bowls, and you can take us for walks in the morning, and we're always very happy and sort of wag our tails. We never bark. And so it's so cheap. He said, well, every home could have one. Instead of having pet shops, have little monk shops or nun shops. Have them in the back, and they can just give you nice advice every now and again. It'd be wonderful to have one in your backyard. Yeah, it would, yeah. Anyway, so he said, yes, okay. So for 3 months, they looked after this monk, and in return, the monk would actually come and give them a little talk on meditation, some nice advice. And they even teach little kids, a few nice little stories and make sure they were good kids. And after 3 months, everybody got to love this monk. Even the dog would always wag his tail as soon as the monk came close. And after 3 months, the monk had to say, it's now time for me to go. And they said, oh no, please don't go. We love you. You're like a sort of grandfather to us all. Please don't go. And the monk said, I have to go now. It is my tradition. I have to go wandering again. But, he said, my meditation has been so deep and powerful that I have seen with my mind, closer than you think, there's a buried treasure. And I know that you are poor, and I want you to have all of that treasure. But, said the monk, you have to follow my instructions. And so they all listened carefully, including the dog was listening. And the monk said, in the following morning, or any morning, I want you to stand at the doorway of your house. Take up the old bow and arrow you sometimes use, and stand at the house door, and when the sun rises over the horizon, point the bow and arrow in the direction of the rising sun. And when the sun completely rises above the horizon, let the arrow fly, and where the arrow falls, there you'll find the treasure. And he said, follow the instructions and you'll be rich, because I'm an old monk and old monks don't lie. So even though they were sad the old monk was going to go, the following morning they got up really early, and the man was waiting there way before dawn, waiting for the sun to come up. And as it came up, he stood at the doorway of his house, he picked up his bow and arrow, he pointed it in the direction of the rising sun, he shot the arrow, and where it fell they all ran after it, including the kids and the dog. And where it fell, this was a long time ago, okay? So he gave the spade to the wife and said, dig the hole. You know what men are like sometimes. But don't worry, karma's going to get that guy in a few moments. But actually the next day. So she dug and dug and dug, and what did she find? Nothing, only trouble. Because that arrow fell in a field belonging to a lawyer. And the lawyer found him and said, you can't dig in other people's property. That's against the law. I'm going to sue you. I'm going to take your house and your farm and everything you own. And the wife says, not my fault. My husband told me to do it. Husband said, no, not my fault. The old monk told me to do it. And the lawyer stopped and said, did you say monk? He said, yes. And the lawyer said, I'm a Buddhist. No, I believe, no, monks don't lie. What did he tell you? And when they gave him the instructions, the lawyer said, look, you've got to be smart, to follow these instructions. Look at you. You're poor. You hardly eat well at all. You're all skin and bones. How can you shoot an arrow? You need to be a lawyer who's strong, who eats well to be able to shoot the bow and arrow. So he said, look, I'll do a deal with you. Tomorrow morning, I will shoot the bow and arrow. And I'll write out a contract to sign for you, because lawyers like writing contracts. And where the arrow falls, I'm sure we'll find the treasure. We'll split it 50-50. And of course, the husband didn't have any choice, otherwise he'd get sued. So, the following morning, the lawyer was there, early in the morning. And as the sun rose, he picked up the bow and arrow. When the sun rose completely over the horizon, he shot the arrow in the direction of the rising sun, and it went a long way further. And where it fell, the husband, the wife, the kids and the dog all ran after it, and the lawyer too. He was puffing by the time he got to where the arrow lay, and he gave the spade to the husband this time. That's what happens. If you get someone else to do it today, you will have to do it yourself tomorrow. And so the husband dug and dug and dug, and what did he find? Nothing, exactly, only more trouble. Because this time the arrow fell in a field belonging to a general in the army. And a general came with his soldiers and said, you're destroying my field. And he told his soldiers, cut their heads off, every one of them, including the dog. And the dog was whining, and everyone else was whining as well. And the husband said, it's not my fault. And the lawyer told me to do it. And the lawyer said, not my fault either. This old monk told me. And at which the general stopped and said, did you mention monk? Because I'm a Buddhist too. So what did the old monk say? And when the general heard his instructions, he said, look, it's obvious what you've done wrong. What do any of you know about shooting a bow and arrow? You have to be in the military. You have to be trained. He said, look, tomorrow I will shoot that bow and arrow. And because I'm a trained military man, where it falls, I'm sure we'll find the treasure, because old monks, they don't lie. So the following morning, the general was there, waiting for the sun to rise, standing in the doorway of the house. And as the sun rose above the horizon, the general shot the arrow in the direction of the rising sun. This time it went a huge distance, because he was a professional. He trained in archery all his life. And where the arrow fell, this time, guess whose job it was to dig the hole? The lawyer, yeah. So the lawyer had to dig the hole this time. He dug and dug and dug. What did he find? Nothing, only more trouble. Because this time the arrow fell in the garden belonging to the king. And the king had them all arrested and said, this is a capital offence. You will all have to be executed for destroying the king's property. And the lawyer said, the general told me to do it. And the general said, the farmer, he was the origin of all of this. He told us to do it. And the farmer said, no, it was the old monk's fault. He told us we'd find a treasure here. And at that the king said, did you say monk? Because I'm a Buddhist too. And the old... it's okay, it's going to stop soon. And the king said, I've got to get to the bottom of this. So he said, I'm going to arrest you all, put you all in jail, including the kids and the dog. And when we find out this monk, I'm going to bring him to the court and find out, what's going on here. Get to the bottom of this. So they put them all in jail, and they looked after them in jail, and even the dog got nice, good meals. And they found the monk, brought him back to the palace, and the king interrogated the monk. He said, you've got these people into big trouble. They're facing the death penalty because of you. Why? And the old monk said, because, Your Majesty, they did not follow my instructions. What did you mean? Said the king. Your Majesty, said the monk, tomorrow you come to that poor person's house. You take up the bow and arrow and follow my instructions, and I guarantee that you will find the treasure. And I want to ask you, out of compassion, can you split that treasure 4 ways equally? Quarter for you, quarter for the general, quarter for the lawyer, and quarter for the family. Because even you, a quarter will make you very happy. How much will it make that poor family very happy? And the king agreed. So the following morning, the king was there at the threshold of the house, waiting. Now also there, of course, was the lawyer, the general, and who else? The farmer, his wife, the 2 kids, and the dog. Don't forget the dog. The dog's important. And as the sun rose, he stood at the threshold of the house. And he looked at the monk, and the monk said, "Correct, your majesty." He picked up the bow and arrow and looked at the monk. "Correct, your majesty." He pointed the bow and arrow in the direction of the rising sun. "Correct, your majesty." He was about to shoot the arrow as the sun rose. "Wrong, your majesty. I never said shoot. I said let the arrow fly." And the king understood. He opened up his finger and forethumb, and the arrow flew straight down, right between the king's feet where he was standing. And there they only dug a small hole and found a huge treasure, a quarter of which was enough to satisfy the king. And from that day on, the dog only ate the best food you could possibly get. Fish and chips with mushy peas.
Very good.
Very good. And the meaning of that story is, where is the treasure which you're looking for in meditation? Where is the peace and stillness? Sometimes we shoot the arrow over there. Sometimes we shoot the arrow over the other way. All places which we shoot the arrow of wanting something. And what do? We dig and dig, and what do we find? Nothing, only trouble. So let the arrow of wanting fall. And where does it fall? Right here, right now, with what you have. And there you find the biggest treasure in the whole world. Peace, contentment, happiness, stillness. And that's absolutely true. You know why? Because I am now an old monk. And old monks don't lie. And that's a lovely little story about meditation in a nutshell. Because even in meditation, okay, I want to be peaceful. You shoot the arrow of wanting, you want to be peaceful somewhere else, you want to stop this somewhere else. So always stop all the wanting and see how you feel right now. How's your body? What's going on in your mind? Don't want it to be different. Just be content with what it is. And if you're content with what it is, and at peace with whatever you're experiencing right now, it's called letting go. Letting things be. Not wanting anything. And then your mind starts to stop. It doesn't look for happiness somewhere else. It doesn't look for happiness somewhere in the future. It doesn't look for happiness by solving problems in the past which are already done and dusted, which you cannot change. It comes into the present moment. This is the only life you have right now. This is the only time you can ever find any peace. Right now is where your future is being made. Not only your future, later on you look back upon this evening, this will be your past. Right now you're creating your future and your past. All your happy memories are created right now. So this is why here you'll find the biggest treasure, enough to satisfy you forever. So we let go of all wanting, which is sitting here is called being mindful, being aware of what's right in front of us, and just letting it be. Yes, sometimes it's not nice, but just let it be for a while. Relax, and you'll find this present moment gets more and more and more comfortable, more powerful, more happy. This. You've got to dig a little bit, but not that deep, into the present moment. And this is where you find happiness. So this is what meditation is, learning how to do nothing. Anyone here lazy? No, I'm lazy. You just don't know how to be lazy properly. You're sitting here and you're worrying about things. That's not being lazy. You're thinking about thinking things, trying to get enlightened or trying to meditate. Don't even try to meditate, just sit here and do absolutely nothing. Hardest thing in the world to do nothing, Number one, we feel guilty. I should be doing something. All people are having a lot of problems in the world, but remember, you're a problem for other people, so you get out of the way, at least that's one less problem in the world when you're still. It's true. So learn how to let go for a little bit. Let things be. Stop wanting. And you come into this present moment, your body relaxes. And when your body relaxes, because you're not trying to change it, you're just being aware of it, it relaxes and gets very peaceful and very still. And then you just be aware of your mental world, allowing it to be right now. You literally let go of the past and let go of the future. Just right here in this moment. Right here. At peace with what you're experiencing. Because you're not trying to change it or get rid of it. Because you're not wanting something else. All the stress of the mind vanishes. Because you stop moving, you settle down and get more and more still. For those who haven't seen the meditation example before, this water over here, as long as I'm holding it, it'll always be moving. Even if I try and concentrate, it still moves. The only way to get this water to be perfectly still is put it down. Let it go. And then it becomes still all by itself. So see if you can let the body go, especially let your mental world just be. Don't need to change it, to try to hold it still. And soon, like the flask of water, it becomes perfectly still all by itself. It's a deep teaching for you, especially those who have been meditating before. You may have seen me do this before. This comes from my teacher, who was probably the most famous meditation teacher of the last century. He's dead now. He would put his hand up and he'd wave it around like this. He said, this is a leaf on a tree. It only moves because of the wind. If the wind stops, the leaf moves less and less until it becomes perfectly still. Because that's the natural state of a leaf on a tree, to be perfectly still. It only moves because of the wind. Same with your human mind. It only moves because the wind of wanting something, wanting to change, wanting to make it different, wanting to get rid of things, wanting to be even peaceful. That makes your mind unpeaceful. So I said all you need to do is stop the wind blowing, and the leaf will move less and less and less until it becomes perfectly still. Just let go of all your wanting and controlling, shooting arrows here and there all over the place, looking for treasures anywhere except where you are right now. If you let go of all that wanting, you get more and more still, more and more peaceful. And meditation is the easiest thing in the world when you stop doing things. When you are really, really, really lazy. Too lazy even to think. Too lazy to want things. Just being. And that's the last little thing. I do go travelling around a lot. And actually next Saturday I'm going to San Francisco. Next week I'll be lecturing in Google. So, but all those places I go to, it's very, very rare to see a human being. I travel around many places. I go to airports, I go to big cities, and do I ever see a human being? Very rarely. All I ever see are humans going somewhere. Human goings, human doings, but very rarely human beings. So, how about today becoming a human being again? Not a human going somewhere, not a human doing something, just being here. Ancient days people could do this very easily. We knew how to relax, just to be. we weren't trying to improve ourselves. If you think you need to be improved, say, what do you mean I need to be improved? I'm good enough. This is it. Take me or leave me, but I refuse to improve. You are good enough. So just be and find out. Actually, you are all more than good enough. Stop trying to improve yourself. That's going somewhere. Try instead of being a human being and being at peace with yourself exactly as you are. That's what meditation is. Simplest thing in the whole world. Okay? So let's do it. Actually, we won't do meditation. We just sit here and do nothing. Okay? Okay, before we start, out of kindness and compassion, because I'm old, many of you are, just get up and stretch. Creaking around. That's right. And when you're ready, you can sit down. Oops, sorry. That old monk stone lies a very famous story. Actually, I heard that in the airport when I was waiting. And there was the person who came and told me that story. He was a Middle Eastern fellow. You get wisdom from all over the place. Of course, I adapted it quite a lot. As I usually do. So that's what stories are supposed to be for, inquiry. So if you like to close your eyes and sit as comfortably as you feel you can. Those who haven't meditated before, I'll guide you through the first 10 or 15 minutes, maybe longer, then let you just do your own thing. So with your eyes closed, you can become more aware of your physical body. And all the feelings, the sensations, the heat, the cold, the pressure, the pain, the aches, the irritations. You can be aware of them. And at first, just be aware. Get to know your body without judging it. But if you wish to adjust your body, you can do so. Just fidget, scratch, cough, sneeze, whatever you want to do. I often say one of the reasons why in this form of meditation we close our eyes, please everyone keep your eyes closed. So if you really do need to pick your nose, you can do it. No one's watching. Once you've got your body as comfortable as possible by moving and adjusting, there will still be many aches and pains or pressures in your body. Now be aware of them. It's called being mindful of those feelings. And notice how they change. How you can make that ache or that pain worse, usually by trying to get rid of it. Or it gets less painful, less troublesome when you let it be. When you stop fighting, you embrace the feeling. And mindfulness is that which gives you feedback. As you notice the feelings in your body changing, notice what relaxes those feelings, what makes them more painful. And the mindfulness is teaching you how to relax. keep your awareness on the body and relax parts of it, one after the other. Don't try and relax everything all at once. You may have like a tummy ache or irritation in your throat because of maybe the smoke. Be aware of that and see what's necessary to relax that irritation. When you listen to the feedback from mindfulness, you're learning. You are learning the art of bodily relaxation. And as you relax one part of the body after another, aware, letting it be, noticing how it gets more easy, more comfortable. You can relax your own body so deeply that you get to the point of what I call the delight of relaxation. The body feels so free of pressure. So at ease, as if everything is resting on cotton pillows. Like you just had a very good foot massage or a back massage. Everything is loose and easy. If there is still some tightness, tension anywhere, be aware of the tightness and see how you can let it be and how that relaxes, eases and brings you comfort. Just being with the body right now. Once the body is as relaxed as you can get it, then be aware of your mental world, the world of emotions and thoughts and fears and worries. It doesn't matter what you're experiencing. Just be at peace with it. Let it be. See if you can be aware and not fight. Not want anything. For these few minutes, just being a human being, just aware. You'll find that will relax your mental world. It's like there's no pressure on it. For these minutes, you don't need to worry about the past or be concerned about your future. That'll look after itself later on. You're just going to let the arrow of wanting, let it go. Find out where you are. And just open up to this moment. Making peace, not fighting, not struggling, with whatever you're feeling right now. first it may feel a bit weird, even uncomfortable. Just hang in the present moment, and it soon gets very, very comfortable. It's like you're putting down your own mind, like I put down that pitcher of water. Just let it down, put it down. Stop trying to make it different. Stop holding it. It gets peaceful all by itself. It doesn't matter what you are aware of. You're aware of my voice or the sound of the traffic outside, of your body, maybe of your breathing. As long as it's happening now, just let it be. No past, no future. You're just in this moment, the place where your future is made. Just aware of what it's like to be without wanting anything in the whole world. Just being here. Try not to judge this moment. Say good or bad or peaceful or agitated. If there's any thoughts or feelings, try not to assess them, judge them good or bad. That will just make more work for you. Try not to measure it. Just know it. Nothing to be, nothing to change. Relax. Relax with this moment called now. No need to give things names. There's no need to try and take notes in your mind. Just know, if you could know silently. Thinking, just imagine yourself stepping back from all your thoughts and knowing them from a distance without judging them. of the future or memories of the past come up. Just let them be. Know you're experiencing them right now. They become present moment experiences again. You are just being. You now don't learn from the past. You only learn from the present. The best thing you can do for your future is be in the place where it's made, right now. Many people find it helpful at this stage. Try to even do something. Choose to watch your breathing. If you're not peaceful yet or your mind is wandering a little bit, just focus on your breath going in, breath going out. And if you like, you can say as your breath goes in, breathing in peace. Breathe out, let go. Breathing in peace. Breathe out, let go. That's all. Keep it simple. towards the end of the meditation now. Just know how you feel. How relaxed, how peaceful you are. This is the beauty, the bliss, the freedom of meditation. It's called peace of mind. A relaxed body. Going the gong 3 times now. Please listen to every sound from the gong, and when the last ringing vanishes, come out from your meditation. Easy. Oh, nice. There we go. So, is there any questions in the box today? Any questions in the box between people's ears?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, go on.
Is there bad wanting and good wanting, or just all bad wanting?
It's, in your meditation, it's all sort of, all useless wanting. Mm-hmm. Outside, of course, we do wonderful things in the world. Have you ever noticed that we have all these great ideas and ideals and desires and help the world? In the end, we usually end up messing it up. It's okay to be kind, to be compassionate, and have these great, wonderful things we think we can do. In the end, can you actually have time off and be still and just be peaceful? That's really important too. That is actually one of the reasons why that we're always wanting something more, wanting to do things. It's so hard just to enjoy. It brings me up to that little story of I do a lot of work in my life. When I'm here in Perth, Western Australia, I have a monastery down at Serpentine. I'm the big boss there. And there's a retreat centre over the road. I'm just messing around over there a lot of the time. We've got our city centre in Nollamara. I work there. We've got nuns monastery and all sorts of other stuff. But mostly it's just I found myself working between our city centre and our monastery. So on Friday afternoon, I'd go in the car to our city centre. First thing, I'd just do the admin work. I'd talk with the president, what's going on in there. There's always something going on. Someone resigning, someone hacking their websites, and organising a conference. Always things going on there. So it's a very busy weekend. And in the weekend, it's free counselling and just doing all sorts of teachings all over the place. And then Sunday afternoon, after all of that, then I go back to the monastery and start working in the monastery. So it's like 7 days a week work. And then, this happened to me once, that I was, people were with a person in the monastery on a Monday, and they said, "Oh, you've got such a beautiful and peaceful monastery. You're so lucky to live up in the hills, where it's nice and quiet. It's so beautiful up here." And I looked at them and said, "Are you crazy? This is my work camp. There's so much to be done here. It's not peaceful. It's not beautiful. Can't you see all the leaves which need to be swept and the gutters cleaned and all the little jobs and stuff which I have to do?" And then I realised what I was saying and realised that I was the one who was in trouble. Because when you come and visit us, when's the next time you're going to come visit the monastery, Rachel?
Having to organise it.
Yeah. For those of you, how many of you have come to visit our monastery? A lot of you have. Isn't it a nice, peaceful, beautiful place? You must be joking. It's so busy there. And the reason is because when you go there, you are visitors. When I am there, I am the owner. And that was my great realization then. I realized that I couldn't see the monastery in which I lived like you could see it. You were just visitors. You weren't the abbots, the owners. So understanding that, I made this resolution. It's a wonderful little practice which I'm sharing with you. That once a week, usually on a Monday morning, I pretend to be a visitor. I'm not the abbot, the big boss anymore. I'm just a visitor to the monastery. So if there's something, there's a pipe leaking water, and the monks go, so Ajahn Brahm, there's a pipe leaking. So, what are you talking to? I'm only visiting today, I'm not the abbot this morning. And somebody comes along, one of you, Ajahn Brahm, can I talk to you about my meditation? Sorry, I'm visiting today, I'm not the meditation teacher. And somebody from the council comes and says, want to see the abbot? I don't know, where is he? It's not. I'm only visiting today. And when I actually pretended full on to be a visitor, not an owner, then I could see the monastery in which I live, just like you see it. Peaceful and beautiful and relaxing. Because I decided to visit for 2 or 3 hours once a week the place where I live. And to understand what I mean, see if you can do that to the place where you live. 1, 2, 3 hours a week in your own home. Pretend to be a visitor. If you're visiting somebody else's houses, how many of you, when you visit someone else's house for afternoon coffee or for dinner, how many of you wash up for your hosts? And put things away for them, and do their carpet, tidy up the house for them? Of course you don't. When you're visiting someone else's house, that's their job to clean up. You just sit there. How many? You go visit a restaurant, you actually go wash up afterwards. Maybe if you don't pay the bill, but that's somebody else's job. That's why it's so nice going out to a restaurant. You don't have to cook, you don't have to clean, you just eat. So try that 2 or 3 hours every week. When you're in your own house, pretend you're a visitor, so you can just relax. You don't have to fix anything up. You don't have to clean anything. You don't have to mow the lawn. You can sit out in your garden. It's a right mess, but I don't live here, so what the hell? That's usually the only way you can relax. So I remember doing that, learning how to just relax by not owning things for 2 or 3 hours every week. That's so important, because when you own things, there's always something to do. There's always something to fix up. Like at your work. How many of you ever get everything done? You never get everything done. You're trying to get it out of the way, and in the end, you're the one that get out of the way in a box, in a coffin. That's the only place. So sometimes you have to be so courageous. I gave this story so long ago. It was actually in the first book I wrote, because sometimes people have these beautiful gardens, like in your house. It's a beautiful garden over there in the back of your house. How many of you can actually just sit out in your garden and do nothing? Or do you have to just have a radio on, or music, or magazines? Or do you just sit there thinking, that tree needs pruning. A nice bush will go. Maybe the path should be changed a bit. That's not doing nothing. So eventually, if you understand what meditation is, you can actually sit out in your garden, and you can say, even though the leaves need raking, even though the flowers need watering, even though the rubbish needs picking up, not now. Right now, this garden is perfect, exactly as it is. So I can just be at peace with it. I can just relax and enjoy the garden. You work hard enough already, all of you, and you go home and it's just more work. It's just like a second job, housework or gardening or fixing up things. So you never have any rest. So it's learning just how to have rest. It reminds me of another story, a very nice old story. This is from the Zen Buddhist tradition. Because I don't know how many of you have been to Japan, but the Japanese gardens, are just famous for how beautiful they are. I was in Japan last December. Some of those gardens are just magnificent. I don't know how they do this. Just the way they have a little few ornaments, and a bit of rocks here, and a bit of moss there, and simple plants, and they're incredible. And there was this one garden long time ago in Japan which was famous over the whole country. And this old meditation monk decided to go and find out what the monk's secret was. So he climbed over the wall early in the morning, hid behind the bushes to see how the gardening monk did things. And this was one of these gardens, had a big plum tree in the middle, a few little bushes, but mostly rocks and little gravel. And he saw this monk come up first thing in the morning with 2 baskets. And he proceeded to pick up every leaf which had fallen the night before. And before he put it in one of the baskets, he'd look at it and examine it. If it was the right shape and the right colour, he'll put it in the good basket. And if it was, just dirty or just the wrong colour, the wrong shape, he'd put it in the rubbish basket. He'd pick up every leaf, one by one, examine it, and split it up into those 2 baskets. It took him 2 or 3 hours. And after he finished up sorting out the leaves, he'd throw the rubbish leaves in the compost round the back of the temple, and then he'd pause for tea. He'd drink the tea very mindfully and carefully, meditate for 5 minutes. He had to prepare his mind for the most important part of the gardening. He'd take the beautiful leaves which he'd saved, and he'd put them one by one just around the tree in the garden. And he was such an artist. Like some people, I can't do this. Some people are so careful, so painstaking, and they have such a great grasp of colour, perspective, and just the way that these things interact with each other, that when he was finished putting all the leaves down one by one just in the right place, that garden was just incredible. And when he'd finished, that was when the meditation monk came out from behind the bushes to praise this gardening monk who was so famous throughout the whole of Japan. He said, your garden is incredible, it's almost perfect. That word, almost, you could see the colour drain from the gardening monk's face. Almost was not good enough for such a perfectionist. So he went on his knees and he put his hands up and said, "Oh great master, the Buddha has sent you here to make me an even better gardener. Please can you let me know how I can make my garden perfect? Please share your compassion and wisdom with me." And the old monk said, "Do you really want to know?" "Yes, please." So the old monk, he strode right into the centre of the garden and put his arms around the plum tree and shook the hell out of it. Leaves and twigs went all over the place, and the whole morning's work of the gardening monk was ruined, and he looked shocked. "What have you done? What have you done?" And the old meditation monk said, "Now that's perfect." And if you understand that story, what is perfection? So, you are perfect. And if you try and improve yourself, I will shake you all about and bring you back to even worse than where you started. And then say, now that's perfect. How else can you ever find any peace in this world? Because that's our problem in our world. We're always trying to make things more perfect, which means there's more things to be done, which means we never have any rest, which means that you end stressing yourself out and not enjoying your life. It's okay to work sometimes, to want things sometimes, but to learn how to have lots of time in your life. When you look at your house, you look at yourself and say, good enough, perfect. So you can relax and rest and enjoy yourself exactly as you are. against all this self-improvement business which you see these days. Who's judging you? Who says you're not good enough? Come on, whoever says that, tell them to get a life. Because when you try to improve things, you find they usually get worse. How many of you have ever tried to improve your husband? To improve your wife? They get worse when you do that. I know that, you should try that. But instead of improving them, there's, again, one of the important themes of, I've learnt in my life, the simile of the doctor. This doctor, the Sri Lankan boy, still see him every now and again. He was, he grew up, at our temple. Went to the little Dharma school when he was young, the school for kids, and then later on, sort of went to school, did well, went to university, studied medicine. Eventually got graduated, a doctor. His first year at Royal Perth, and that's when he came to see me one day. He was devastated. He said, I can't do this job anymore. I'm going to resign, he said. He came to see me first of all. What happened? He said, a tragedy. I was treating this one patient, a young woman, maybe 23, 24, around that age, and I lost her. She died. And because I was her doctor, I had to go to her husband and tell him, the woman he loved most in his life is dead. And his 2 children have not got no mother anymore. And he said, that hurt me so much that I don't think I can do that ever again. So I can't be a doctor anymore. I failed. And that's when I told him a very important little lesson which I've shared with so many people, is that if you think that your job as a doctor is to cure people, you're going to go through this suffering so many more times in your life. And you're going to fail. It's obvious that sometimes you just can't cure people. As a doctor, you can't always cure people, but there's one thing you can always do, and that's to care for them. And if you realise your main job and purpose being a doctor, being a nurse, being a therapist, psychologist, or just being a friend, if you realise the main thing that you can do, the main purpose in life is to care, you never need to fail. You can always care for your patients. And even if they do die, they die and their family know that they've been cared for. And they will never feel so sad. Neither will you ever feel a failure. You can't always cure people, but you can always care for them. And he got the point straight away. And he's still a doctor, he's a specialist in something or other now, I forget what. But he realised that, he can't always cure, but he can always care. And a strange thing happened. Because he realised caring was more important than curing, his success rate went up. More people get better when they stop trying to cure them. All these incredible, terrible interventions, that doctors give you, when you're really, really sick. They're trying to cure you at all costs. Quite frankly, I think that kills a lot of people. Mm. But if we have caring is the most important, a beautiful sort of kindness and care, that will cure so many more people. And that's the same in life. Your husband, your wife, your kids. How many times we try and cure them with their bad habits? So we should be caring for them. And then their bad habits will get much less. But most importantly, yourself. How many of you are trying to cure yourself? Your bad habits. For years I've been trying to cure myself of my bad jokes, but I just can't stop it. I'm addicted. Did I tell the foot joke last night? I told it here, did I? Yes. Foot joke, okay. The foot joke. How about
say it again.
No, it's got some new jokes. What about the... Oh, that's a really bad joke. That was actually last Friday night in Monday. You get it online. What about the kid who was short of money?
No.
Okay, there's this boy, he's short of money at school. And he realised it's really hard, don't get enough pocket money, all goes too quickly. And his friend said, look, this is what you should do. What you should do is go up to your older brother and just tell him, I know all about it. That's all. And so he went out to his older brother and said, I know all about it. And the older brother said, who told you? And he said, well, I'll tell Mum and Dad if you don't give me $10. And so his brother got out $10 and gave it to his younger brother. Because people don't know. You've all got some secrets in there. If I say, Rachel, I know all about it. And you say, oh, please don't tell Mike. That's her husband. So he's just bluffing, but it always works. So he got $10 and he thought, this is really good. So then he tried it on his sister, his elder sister. And she's really good, a young teenage girl. You go up to her and say, sister, I know all about it. How do you find out? In school. Oh God, don't tell Mum and Dad. How much? $20. So he's on to a nice little earner here. So then he went up to his dad. He said, Dad, I know all about it. How do you find out? Oh, just one of your friends' kids, they go to school as well. Oh God, don't tell your mum. How much? $50. So that is that. Then he tried his mum. Mum, I know all about it, he said. He looked very confident. So he got $100 from his mum. I don't know what she was up to, but he all got guilt inside her somewhere. And so then he said, who else? I tried my brother, my sister, my mum and dad. So he tried the milkman. He went out early in the morning and said, milkman, I know all about it. And the milkman said, really? Son. Okay. That's not a bad job. Look, that's my addiction, okay, so I'm not going to try and change myself. I just care for myself, that's all. Now you can see just how wonderful it is when you're at peace with yourself. You don't need to change yourself, for goodness sake. Don't try and cure yourself, care for yourself. Don't try and cure the people you live with, care for them. See, that's being at peace with things. Otherwise you find you try and change yourself all your life, change your partner, and it's endless. So we care, not trying to cure. In that way we can find some peace in life. In other words, just let things be, instead of always trying to change things. So we're very good at doing stuff, at curing, changing, doing all the work, but we're hopeless at just relaxing and doing nothing. That's why a lot of the time, just to get you in the middle way, to teach you how to do nothing rather than always doing things. A lot of the time we're so guilty. So guilty, we think, other people are doing things, I should be doing things. I got rid of my guilt a long time ago. Don't care what people think of me. They always used to say that when you're young, you're very worried what people think of you. Your teenage years, early 20s. Because at that time you always have to, look good, speak good. But when you're in your 40s, around that time, 30, 40, 50, you got self-confident. You can just dress however you like. You don't give a damn what other people think of you. And then finally, when you get to my age, you realise that people weren't thinking about you anyway. Then just do whatever you want to do. This doesn't really matter. Okay, do a naughty joke. Okay, the parachute. Okay, here we go. I was just pushing it, but if you want to leave now, leave now. This was in one of the trains. A few years ago, when you remember the punks? They just walk multicoloured hair, razor blades all over the place and stuff. This punk was in one of these railway carriages. And there was a gentleman sitting opposite, maybe about 60 years of age. And he was looking at this punk. And the punk took offence. What are you looking at, old man? And he said, no, just looking at you, just, all the multicoloured hairs and clothes and stuff like that. Why? Well, he said, he said, well, just looking, that's all. And the punk said, didn't you do anything outrageous when you were young? And the old man said, actually, yes, that's why I'm looking at you. When I was in the Navy, I had sex with a parrot. I thought you might be my son. I was a bit naughty, but it's a good joke anyway. I think you can get the funny side. Okay, there we go. Okay, anyway, any questions about caring for yourself and sex with parrots?
Locusts and parrots, you're asking if we still have questions?
No, parrots are good. There's a funny joke. No, humour is one of the most amazing things in life, because as soon as you have laughing, number one, you're right in the present moment.
Yeah.
You totally forget about all the problems and suffering in life. It's one way to learn how just to be. Because, the joke is usually so funny or so bad or whatever, but at least it brings you into the present moment. And the strange thing about when people say, oh, that was a very bad joke, I always go and tell it to someone else after.
Yeah.
That's the problem with people. But anyway, so, yes.
Can I ask, what led you to your path of
Being a
a
monk.
Buddha?
Being a monk, I was just... when I was young, I had an affair with this beautiful girl, and she dumped me. Okay, that's karma. When I tell a joke like that, it comes back to me. Law of karma. And I became a monk to forget the parrot. No, I never did that. No, no, I deserve that. I give you much worse, so fair enough. So no, just seriously, that I was 23, and you're always looking for something in life which you want to, to explore. By that age, was early 70s, had a good career in front of me if I needed it, good education, good qualifications. So you could actually be free to explore a little bit of the world. And so I'd been a Buddhist for a long time, and I had some nice meditation. And I thought, why not just try being a Buddhist monk for a couple of years? Or just for a short time. And in Thailand you can become a monk just for a short time. And why not? It was a good time of my life. I just finished with one relationship amicably, and it was before I got caught, and started marriage and jobs and debts and stuff like that. I was free to take this opportunity to become a monk, and as soon as I became a monk, I realised that's just what I always wanted to do. That sometimes you get into a job, into a career, into a niche, maybe like a nurse, and straight away that's who you are. And that's me. I was always a monk, and as soon as I became a monk, I told other people that that's just it. I'm never going to change. And they say, yeah, sure. We all say that. It's been over 40 years now being a monk. Very happy monk. And absolutely true, this is no joke, that just after I ordained as a monk in Bangkok, I would wake up at night with nightmares. And my nightmare, honestly, it was that I was not a monk, I was a layperson. And I'd wake up in a sweat, and I'd look at the robes next to my bed and think, I'm a monk. And I'd fall back and have this beautiful sleep. And there's something deep inside of me always wanted to be a monk. It's a nice simple lifestyle, because two things I wanted to achieve in life. And I thought, trying to be logical, to have your own happiness, but also to create happiness for others, to be of service in the world. And quite frankly, now I get huge amounts of happiness by just how much service I give to people. I'm good enough at my job now, I can really, really help people big time. And that's a wonderful thing to be able to do. Now, when you get letters every week, usually 2 or 3, thank you, Ajahn Brahm, for saving my life. And see how wide these teachings go. The last letter I got was this lady, she's from New Mexico or somewhere. There's someone emailing in from Syria last Friday. So it goes really around the world. And they said they were in New Mexico or something. They were listening to a radio program in the US. And there was one of the writers of Saturday Night Live, the best comedy show in the US, was listening. Well, it's actually in the radio interview. They got really depressed, suicidal, and they said they managed to get over their suicide because they listened to these podcasts of this Australian monk called Ajahn Brahm, and that got this lady to listen to them, and she got out of her suicide as well, and that's why she emailed to thank me. So I know the people from Saturday Night Live, they listen to me, that's where they get their jokes from. Because apparently Saturday Night Live, in the US, is actually the biggest comedy show sort of in the whole US, apparently. It's a really big show. So that's where they get all the material from. There we go. So again, this is actually that's why I became a monk. That's we can't just go for our own happiness. If we don't actually look after, serve other people, otherwise we get dry. And we can't just give to other people if we've got nothing to give. So when you get your own happiness, you give it to others, then you get more happiness. This is actually the meaning of life. To create happiness inside and outside. So simple. And this is how you do it. Just caring for people instead of trying to cure them all the time. Because in all the times, some of you have been here a long time, how many times have I ever told anybody here off? And told them, bad Rachel, wrong way of meditating. You never actually try and cure and change a person. You affirm them. Respect them. Because a lot of time that's what people want most of all. Just to be respected, accepted. And realise, wow, you mean I'm okay? Yes, you are. What a relief. I am okay. And then at peace. I gave a talk on suicide on Friday night. And I told this story, it's a really nice true story, that one of the caretakers of our centre in town, he'd moved away over to Beverley and living by himself. You've got to be careful when you're by yourself, because sometimes, there's always sometimes you get really down and depressed. Everyone gets down and depressed sometimes, things go wrong. And he got so bad he decided he's going to commit suicide. He had a caravan and a sort of a shed. He was going to build a house later on. He's built it now. And so he got to the point that he tied the rope in the shed, in the noose, just the right height, and the sort of a chair all ready, went into the caravan to write the suicide note. And he was halfway through the suicide note. His mistake, or actually what saved his life, he had the radio on. And on the radio, who would come on the radio? And here is Ajahn Brahm. He said, oh God, I can't get away from this monk. It just happened at the right time. And he realised, okay, I better not kill myself. And he came and told us the story afterwards, laughing his head off. Just how close he got, but he just, I wouldn't let him commit suicide. I came on the radio. So sometimes there are some nice, funny sides of life. And don't forget the funny sides of life.
It's too late to ask you, or
No, go on.
sometimes nowadays recently I feel when I sit on meditation, it's like a diary writing in my head, like it's going on from the morning, what.
Ah, yeah. That's why, that first of all those thoughts, the plans, the memories, that's one of the hardest things for people to get some peace. So number one, don't try to stop those thoughts. That just feeds them. What to do is get perspective on them. Similarly, the hand, when your hand's right in front of you, it's so important. When you put it out here, you can see the hand, you can see more things. Put some space between you and the thoughts. Just imagine that, your thoughts are on this TV screen and you're sitting on the sofa. And you're in the sofa, okay, you're not actually in the screen. The screen's out there, the sofa's over here. When you put space between, you can try this at home, space between you and what you're watching, you don't get involved. You can just turn it off if you want to. But you find once you get involved in the movie, in the football match, it's like you're right inside the screen. Which is why you get afraid, when something happens. Or you start crying when it's really sad. Or when, that if you watch the cricket match, say, that's not out, and you actually shout at the umpire. And they can't hear you. The match may be over in Sydney, and you're watching it in Perth. Yeah, many hours later as well as a replay. Just like the movies are replayed. So what are you crying for? Sometimes somebody dies in the movie and you cry. They get reincarnated in the next showing. But if you ever notice, when you get sort of excited, when you're in a movie, you're right inside the screen. It's like you're right there. When you're watching a cricket match or a footy match, you're watching on the TV, but it's like you're actually right there on the ground, watching it live. And that's why people shout. That's why they get excited. You get literally sucked in, involved in it. And that's exactly what happens with thinking. You get so sucked into the thoughts, you're right there and it's important for you. You're even right there in the past or in the future when these things are happening. And that's why you can't let them go. Put space between yourself and the movie, and it's very easy to, it's not all that interesting then. You can actually sort of turn it off. Put space, it's only a football match for goodness sake. And it's already finished anyway, so you can just get on the internet and find out who won. If it's a movie, just find out what happened in the end. Actually, you know what happened in the end. Superman always saves the world, but just right at the last moment, whatever happens. It always ends happily. Most movies.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So very good. Okay, so you've got an extra 5 minutes today with no extra charge.
Excellent. Thank you, Ajahn Brahm. That was wonderful, of course.